With the sustained evacuation of non-indigens from different states of the Federation as part of measures to enforce the COVID-19 guidelines and regulations, senior lawyer Saturday warned that such decisions might stoke constitutional crisis and further endanger the unity of the country. Besides, the lawyers argued that the decisions of the state government to send non-indigens to their state of origin violated Chapter 3 and Section 41 of the 1999 Constitution, which respectively spell out the privileges of every Nigerian citizen and guaranteeing fundamental human rights. In separate conversations with this day, a former president of the West African Bar Association, Mr. Femi Falana, SAN, Nigeria's leading human rights lawyer, Mr. Ebun Adegboruwa, SAN, and a former chairman, Governing Council, National Human Rights Commission, Dr. Chidi Odikalu, expressed grave concern about the decisions of these governors. Hiding under the enforcement of COVID-19 guidelines and regulations, the Kano state government had evacuated non-indigens, especially Almajiris, residing within its territories to their state of origin across the north. The decision of the Kano state government had sparked reprisal in other states across the federation, with Kaduna, Kwara, Lagos, Nasarawa and Osun, among others, either expelling non-indigens from their states of residence to their states of origin or denying them entering into their territories under the guide of enforcing the COVID-19 guidelines and regulations. With this development, Falana observed that the fundamental rights to freedom of movement, like other rights or rights under the 1999 Constitution, might be derogated from or abridged in defense of public health, public safety, or public morality. The human rights lawyer acknowledged that in order to reduce the spread of the coronavirus, the federal government banned interstate locomotion of all citizens for 2 weeks. He noted that the decision cannot be questioned since it is based on the protection of public health. Section 45 of the 1999 Constitution allows such derogations, which according to him are based strictly on public interest. However, Falana observed the policy might be impugned if it is applied in a discriminatory or selective manner, noting that even though the Nigeria Governors Forum (NGF) suggested the policy, the federal government accepted it. The senior advocate said the state governors have incorporated the ban into the COVID-19 regulations made by them. They are binding on all this and sundry. He, however, lamented that the ban is not effective as it is being sabotaged by security forces who have erected toll gates in the border towns. He faulted the decisions of some state governments expelling non-indigens residing within their territories, noting that such decision violated the fundamental rights of the affected citizens under the 1999 Constitution. He explained that the 1999 Constitution has recognized the fundamental rights of citizens to move freely and reside in any part of Nigeria. To that extent, the explosion of flotsam and jetsam, otherwise called Almajiris, by some northern governors is illegal and unconstitutional. The danger of the illegal expulsion at this point in time is that many of the expelled citizens are COVID-19 positive, so the actions of the governors are promoting community transmission of the infectious disease. He lamented that the federal government has not deemed it fit to call the governors to order. Some public interest litigation lawyers have concluded plans to challenge the constitutional validity of the expulsions in the Federal High Court after the lockdown. Like Falana, Adegboruwa provided two interrelated grounds, which according to him show that the decisions of some state governments to expel non-indigens living within territories are completely unconstitutional. He first cited the significance of citizenship to the Federation, to which a whole chapter of the 1999 Constitution was devoted, and the chapter explicitly outlined and rights and privileges attached to the citizenship status. He said, once you are born in Nigeria and can trace any of your parents to Nigerian origin, you are a freeborn citizens with all the rights and privileges attached to that citizenship in line with the provisions of Chapter 3 of the Constitution. This cannot be taken away by declaration by a governor. I have no doubt that the decisions of the governors in expelling citizens from their states on the ground that they are not indigenous of those states are totally unconstitutional. It is unfortunate that it is currently happening in Nigeria in respect of the COVID-19, which now seems to have its own Nigerian identity, from fake test results to propaganda of bloated capacity and even corruption, says Ade Gurua. He also explained the illegality of the decisions of the governors under Section 41 of the Constitution, which, according to him, stated that even citizens of Nigeria is entitled to move freely throughout Nigeria and to reside in any part thereof, and no citizen shall be expelled from Nigeria or refuse entry or exit. This provision is very sacrosanct to our unity as a nation. Going by our collective motto of unity and progress, you should be able to stay in any part of Nigeria so long as you are law abiding and you have not committed any offense to warrant the deprivation of your rights as a citizen. Now, some of the reasons given are that these are itinerant persons who have no visible means of livelihood, and they are said to constitute some risk to the containment of COVID-19 pandemic. The question then is this: if they are already infected persons, will the act of expelling them from their state of residence take away the virus from them? Is the virus regulated by physical boundary between states such that once you are expelled, then the virus would immediately recognize the boundary and then disappear? We compare those who occupy positions of authority to familiarize themselves with the provisions of the Constitution, which they have all sworn to uphold. In that wise, we will have less infractions of the Constitution when leaders become more aware of its provisions, the senior advocate said. He warned against expelling citizens from their places of residence to their state of origin, noting that such decision is like sowing the seed of disunity. He said the state government that expelled them are simply telling them that even though they have worked and lived all their lives in their places of residence, they are not welcome as Nigerian citizens unless they can trace their state of origin. It will lead to social disintegration, social disharmony. He also noted that the action of the state government discriminated against these citizens on grounds of places of origin and their status in society, because most of the states that are expelling Almajiris still accommodate the rich men and women from the same state where the Almajiris come from. They are just being targeted because of poverty and low status. If this is allowed to fester, then you cannot refer to Nigeria as a federation. In Section 2 of the Constitution, it is clearly stated that Nigeria is one indivisible and indissoluble sovereign state to be known by the name of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But you don't allow citizens of other states to reside and take abode in your state freely. You are telling them that you are not part of the federation, which then would mean that the governor executing such illegality is not fit to remain in office as a governor, having committed a breach of his oath office to uphold the 1999 Constitution, he said. Adegboruwa therefore urged the NGF to convene an emergency meeting and encourage all its members to accept the people as they are. In many cases now, those who have tested positive to COVID-19 are not necessarily indigenous of the state where they reside. We should not get to the level where out of panic, the problem of COVID-19 that we are trying to solve will be escalated because these Almajiris are packed together in trucks as if they are not human beings, and in that wise they will not be able to observe the social distances and hygiene policies associated with COVID-19. Even though one appreciates the concern of governors that are affected, it is important to realize that the 1999 Constitution is the grundnorm and the organic documents our existence as a nation, and it is important not to take steps that fly in the face of the basic documents, he explained. In response, Odinaku noted that lots of issues have been happening in the country that are strange to federal structure. Expelling non-indigenous from their state of residence is one of such strange happenings. In any federation, Odinaku argued that citizens can live anywhere or move from one place to the other without let or hindrance. These people have not committed any crimes. Poverty is not a crime, nor is destitution. But even if these were crimes, internal banishment is not punishment, and there is nothing like a repatriation or deportation to your place of origin. As a fact, no one knows where most of these people come from in terms of origins. The state governors who have paid no heed to them all this while are all of a sudden inventing reasons to be nasty and amoral in a way that frankly endangers everyone. It is the cluster removed from Kano that began the spike in Gombe and Bauchi as well as Kano's northwest neighbors, he said. With this development, he said the federal government has the responsibility to protect the integrity of the federation. It is failing woefully. Governors who swore to defend the constitution are undermining the egregiously. Okay. They are undermining it egregiously. Well, in my opinion, when I hear that our unity it hurts me. When I hear that, oh, federation citizen, it hurts me because as a person I'm not even proud of, okay, I'm really from this country, because when you talk about being a country, you're just be there. All of the other things that you are supposed to benefit even as a citizen, they are not there. You can see them, but you cannot feel them, you cannot experience them. It's just meant for few individuals. But when some things are happening that, that is when they will now start quoting all those laws, which I don't even understand, because I don't even see it as something that you can be proud of. Oh, because when they talk about, oh, as the constitution said, this and this and that, you are a citizen. Oh, in fact, if somebody hears it who is not even from Nigeria, we're just like, oh, wow, how pleasant, how good for you want to be a citizen of this country. But in reality, you don't get nothing. So to put some things in place as a social amenities, you can't even get it. But when you now see that there are some laws that are supposed to be guiding you, and you are supposed to be proud of where you come from, they are not there. Then they'll be quoting all manner of things. But that being said, what is there now? All this law they are talking about, that should be within the places that are deporting those who have been living in a place. But the one, I don't know whether it is law or not by law, but the one that I'm not comfortable with, that they really need to clear. Now there's lockdown. There's lockdown, and we have a lot of guidelines for if you disobey, what is it called? If you disobey the guidelines of a lockdown or the COVID-19, you'll be punished. And we have people like this woman's name, Funke Akindele. She was punished because she had party and she was in the gathering of how many people, and she went in for it. So what are we talking about? Then now there's a lockdown, that interstate lockdown, nobody should move in, nobody should go out of that state in the first place. Why are those Almajiris coming from another place? Because from the part of the southern governors or the southern people, they are not taking people out of the state and taking them back. But the issue is that they are not allowing anybody to come in. You cannot come in, you cannot go out. So the best thing is to reverse them back. So in that area, it's a different thing between those who are deporting people from places to places, because those people, Almajiri or whatever they call them, they are in that state, whether that law can really apply. But as far as the law of the lockdown, I don't know whether it is law or whatever they make it, you cannot enter another state in as much they see that interstate this in. We have a lot of places that are not opened, which they say you cannot do that. So why is it that, because that area, they didn't explain that area very well, then why are you trying to say the people should come in? Nobody should come in. We're not talking of free movement or no free movement in this why is it that they are telling you that there's interstate lockdown? Because these lawyers are not expatiating that they should not bring all those laws to this idea of this locking or transporting all these Almajiris to other states. No, they should all of those people, they are from within that north. They can transfer themselves, or you can argue that they don't have the right to transfer them from state to state in that northern area. But for you to enter another district, it is what the southerners are against. You cannot bring them in. If it is ordinary day, of course, people have been entering before now. Nobody has been harassing them. But in as much as this lockdown is concerned, interstate lockdown, nobody, you don't have to go out. You don't have to come in unless that lockdown is over. Unless that law is over, then it's a different thing, because before now those people have been coming in and out. But well, one thing is that even all these governors, all these politicians, leaders and all of that, you can't even vouch for them. You can't even trust them, because they can do and undo. Most of the things they do at times, it irritates. Today they will do something fine, the next day again they will take almost how many steps back after they must have taken one step ahead. They will take many steps backward. So what are we talking about? So that's why I said from the beginning that you can't even be proud that you even came from this country, or you're from this country, because you just fend for yourself. Constitutionally, they are supposed to take care of you. The issue of a esme, these people, I don't know whether they have been talking before now, but the whole thing is just confusing. So guys, let's hear your own opinion concerning all this long grammar that these lawyers or these senior advocates of Nigeria, they've listed here. Leave your comment below and let's have your take.